Hello friends, my name is Leigh and I create videos about photography as an art and as a lifestyle. Today we're talking about both. We are talking about developing your art and also incorporating photography into your lifestyle. Or I guess rather, Raymond and I will be talking about how we develop our art and incorporate photography into our lifestyle and how we plan to do it in a specific way in 2025. You've heard us talk about therapy cameras here over the years on the channel. And what we mean by a therapy camera is a camera that you enjoy using, a camera that you aren't stressed about using. And your therapy camera might just be the one camera that you have, but it might be a specific way that you use the camera in which you are enjoying yourself. Maybe you're even enjoying the moment more than you are the actual photos later on. And I guess I should insert here real quick. We say therapy camera because this is a therapy for us, but I'm not a doctor or anything like that. If you need therapy, please go get therapy. I've had therapy, it's great. And what Raymond and I are doing in 2025 is that we have each chosen one camera and one setup of this camera to be our therapy camera for all of 2025. We're going to pull Raymond in here in a moment to talk about his therapy camera setup and why he chose the things that he chose. And then I will jump back on and talk about my therapy camera, how I've set that camera, and also a little bit more specifically about how I plan to use it in 2025 to support myself, my art, and my work.
Leigh chose something super simple, which you'll see in a few minutes. I chose something simple. I probably would have chosen hers, but she already picked it. So what I have here is the Lumix S5. Now we own two Lumix S5 IIs. Those are among the latest and greatest Lumix cameras. This one's older. L-mount camera, contrast detect autofocus only, unlike the phase detect of the newer models. That's fine for this camera's purpose and what I'm using it for. Over on the back, I have turned the LCD screen in the closed position to be as distraction-free as possible. This is all about the viewfinder, and with my bad eyesight, being able to set the diopter and just using the viewfinder is great with me. Aperture priority, aperture ring on this 35mm Sigma f2 contemporary lens, which I expect to basically be permanently attached during this exercise. I reserve the right to use other L-mount lenses, but I'm probably talking primes most of the time. Now, I did do something funny. I don't know if I'm going to stick with this. There's a zoom option in the camera. I have it set to 6 megapixel because I don't care. This is therapy. 6 megapixels was great for a long time until things got better and better. That affords me like a 2x zoom, configuring some of the fancy function buttons. And it stays at 6 megapixel the whole time. So you're compromising resolution on the front end by just saying, hey, I'm shooting in 6, and then if you go 2x, you're still in 6 or anywhere in between. I don't know if I'll stick with that, but it's not a feature that I've used in this camera before, so I wanted to try it out. If I find that's interfering with the simplicity of operation, I will stop using it. Probably the most interesting thing that I did was I really changed the color for the way that I like to edit and the way that I like to shoot. So I baked the way that I normally edit into the color management options. Brought up the shadows, brought down the highlights, I reduced the saturation. This was actually a style I'd created earlier called Raymond Fall, sort of muting the fall colors. Well, I'm just going to use it. If I decide those settings are cramping my style, I will go to the standard style and just shoot that way. The key here is not to be fiddly from shot to shot. In fact, when I leave the house, I don't expect to be making any changes at all. If I realized, oh my gosh, I was shooting 6 megapixel, I meant to be in the full 24. Too bad. That's what I got. That's the way it's going to be. And that's really the spirit of this exercise. Like Leigh said in the introduction, grab the camera, make it part of the experience, not dominate the experience as it sometimes can, especially with the channel that we have. Just enjoy it. Look at my pictures when I get back. Maybe even, I know, crazy, make some prints. when we get back, just leaving them unedited the way that they were captured in the camera. Will this be the only camera that I shoot with in 2025? No, we always try to bring you the latest and greatest. But when it's for me and I just want to go out, take some pictures and capture what's out there, this is a really good setup. It's not quite as simple as Leigh's, as she'll reveal in a minute, but it's going to get me much of the way there.
I've been doing some reading and listening to podcasts about mindfulness and about creativity. These are things that I've been interested in for many, many years, but recently there have been a couple of concepts that have come up more than once that I just made connections with, and they really spoke to me. And they are impermanence and also setting up a practice to support your creativity. Now, the idea of impermanence that I'm thinking about right now is gear. It's so easy for us to think we need the best gear and the latest gear rather, to take photos, to take the best photos, to take good photos. And the thing is, the idea of new gear is impermanent. New gear today is old gear next month. My Q2 is not the newest camera out there. It's not the newest Q camera. And I still love it, and I still take photos with it. And I need to detach the idea, and probably you too, might need to detach the idea of new gear equaling good photos. That's just not how it works always. And then with setting up a practice to support your creativity, I've talked about this a lot. I've provided you with some videos where I talk about exercises to kind of promote creativity, but in the larger structure of creativity and in supporting your creativity, the idea of setting up a practice where you are always kind of ready to be creative is what has come up recently with me. For example, for me, using a therapy camera, sometimes going out with no pressure, just taking some photos, noticing the world around me, noticing what I find beautiful, noticing little spots here and there where I can take a photo. But also doing other things. For me, going to museums, going outside, working out, these are all things that help me in creating that framework, in that practice of making myself creative. And so those are some things that I would challenge you to think about in the new year, is the idea of setting yourself up for success with creativity. I have chosen, dun, 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 the Leica Q2. I chose the Q2 because it is simply one of my favorite cameras. Whenever someone asks me if I could only have one camera and one lens for the rest of my life, what would it be? The Q2 always comes up. Sometimes I say other things, but this is simply a really enjoyable camera for me to use. It's small enough that it fits in most bags. It's easy for me to use. It has all of the quality that I need. And even though it isn't the newest camera out there, there's a Q3 now, I chose not to go with that. I chose to continue to use my Q2. The Leica Q2 is, as Raymond said, simple because it has a fixed prime lens on it. So this has a 28mm lens on it, and you can't change that. However, it is a f1.7 lens, which is amazing. It is a macro lens, which is amazing. Also, the Q2 has a bunch of megapixels. It is a high megapixel camera. So I can crop into the image with no issues at all. Kind of like what Raymond was talking about. And in fact, that's one of the settings that I chose to make easily available on the camera is the digital zoom. There is a digital zoom where you can scroll through several different focal lengths, so to speak, on the camera. I made the function button on the back of the camera to scroll through those. What that means is that I do have one camera, but it's sort of like I have a camera and a bag of primes with me. So I feel like that might be a little bit of cheating, but Raymond is doing it too with that whole zoom thing. So I'm saying it's okay. I make the rules for this, right? So let's talk about some of the settings that I have chosen for the camera. I have chosen to shoot in JPEG only. I've chosen to set this to high contrast monochrome. I've also made all of these settings a user profile, and I've named that user profile Leigh. So anytime one of us picks up this camera and uses it for something else this year, we're going to make settings changes. We're going to maybe set it to shoot in RAW. We're going to set it to do whatever, you know, pick up faces in autofocus or something. What I can do is just go back through the menus, choose my user profile. It's the first user profile, and we will be back to all of my settings on this camera. So it is simply going to be really easy for me to grab and go. That is the entire point, my friends. It is to take the stress off of me. I do this for a living, and it's stressful sometimes that I am constantly using new cameras, learning new cameras, talking about different menu systems, and the pressure to be creative all the time and to come up with new photos that are good, that you all will want to look at in my videos is, it's a lot sometimes, and it really can be a grind. But I love photography. It is a therapy for me. It is for my overall well-being. So doing this puts me into that state of happiness, of flow, of noticing the world around me. So there you have it, friends. That is something that Raymond and I are doing in the new year to set ourselves up for success, for me to support my work here on the YouTubes. And that's it. Let me know, let us know down in the comments if you all do something like this. We are in the middle of nowhere and there's a horn honking. I don't know if you heard that or not. But anyway.
You can never get away, no matter where you go.
You just can't. What was I saying? Yes, comments. Let me know down in the comments below if you do anything like this. And if you don't do anything like this, how else do you support your creativity and your photography, or do you? Let us know down in the comments. I always love to hear from you. Please do give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I think I heard Raymond mentioning that, yes, of course, we're going to continue to use new cameras next year. It's exciting. New gear is fun. So subscribe so that you see when new videos come out. And that's all, friends. Thanks for watching.